Imagine waking up to a knock in the dead of night and finding a black package waiting at your doorstep. No name, no return address, just a single key inside and a message that chills you to the bone. Your bid has been accepted. Eternal freedom awaits. What started as a reckless dare among friends on the dark web quickly turned into a waking nightmare. They weren't looking for trouble, just a cheap thrill. But when they stumbled onto a live auction, filled with twisted items and cryptic bids, one click changed everything. At first, it was just a game, until the rules changed. Tonight's story isn't just a tale, it's a warning. Think twice before you click. Because on the dark web, some bids come with a cost far greater than money. Four friends, each one as curious as the other, stumbled upon a part of the internet they weren't meant to find. One night, after a few too many drinks and one too many dares, they decided to dig deeper into the infamous dark web. They weren't after anything serious, just a thrill, a story to tell. But then they found it, a live auction, one that was unsettlingly different from anything they'd ever seen. There, on their screens, items flashed up for bidding, each one more twisted than the last. An antique doll with hollow eyes, a rusted dagger with fresh bloodstains. And then, shockingly, the auction began listing actual people. Volunteers, the website called them. The friends joked, unease creeping in, but none of them could look away. Then, almost as a dare to themselves, they noticed one final item: eternal freedom. Curious, they clicked, entering a bid. Eternal freedom, they scoffed and laughed about it. No payment details, no verification. It felt like a prank. But then the screen blinked with a cold message. Congratulations, your bid has been accepted. That night, each of them returned home, shaking off the strange experience. But as they slept, a knocking sound woke them, each one jolted from uneasy dreams. Outside their doors, identical packages waited, small, black, unmarked. Inside, a single antique key, scratched and worn, and a message that read, "Your bid was accepted. Eternal freedom awaits." At first, they thought it was some elaborate prank, some dark web gimmick. But when morning came, something had shifted. The first to notice was Lisa. She tried to leave for work, her hand on the doorknob. But somehow, after a few steps, she found herself back in her kitchen, staring at the front door she'd just opened. She laughed it off as a fluke. But each time she tried to step outside, she'd end up back inside her house, disoriented, heart pounding. One by one, the friends discovered the same thing. Doors, windows, every attempt to leave ended the same way. It didn't matter if they ran or crawled or even smashed a window. They'd only blink, and they'd be back in the center of their home, breathless and confused. By nightfall, panic set in. They tried calling each other, comparing stories, desperate to understand what was happening. They tried using the keys, hoping they would unlock a way out. But each key simply led them back to where they started, like their homes were warping, folding in on themselves. The messages began soon after, scrawled on mirrors, in the condensation of their windows, and on slips of paper that appeared overnight. Freedom isn't free. Escape isn't a gift. It's an exchange. They understood now. They were not winners of an auction. They were its latest items. And as the realization sank in, so did the dread. The auction was still live, still searching for more. Days passed, and their once hopeful attempts to escape became frantic, desperate, hopeless. The isolation was maddening. Every mirror in the house seemed to echo their fear back at them, the walls almost breathing, as if alive with the knowledge of their entrapment. One night, when hope was nearly gone, they each received another message: pass on the key, or remain forever. It was an instruction, simple but horrific. To gain their freedom, they would have to bid someone else's freedom in their place. They would have to curse someone else, just as they had been cursed. They waited, days stretched into tortured nights, unable to leave, unable to live. And then, each friend in their solitude made their choice. They selected the name of someone they knew, someone close, and they sent the keys. As each friend regained their freedom, emerging from their homes as if waking from a nightmare, they felt the weight of what they'd done settle over them. Someone else would now be trapped, lost to the impossible walls, cursed by the very auction they had once mocked. So next time you find yourself drifting into the dark corners of the internet, think twice before clicking. Some things aren't meant to be explored. And if you ever receive a key and a message in the dead of night, remember, freedom isn't free. It's an exchange. And you might be next on the list. Are you brave enough to explore more stories like this? Hit subscribe to unlock the door to the darkest tales you'll ever hear. Don't forget to like this episode if it sent chills down your spine, and share it with someone who dare to click that key. And tell us in the comments, if you received the key, would you pass it on or face the game alone?